Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. My name is Matt Kramer. I'm the VP of Channel at Recovery Point Systems. I'll be moderating our discussion today. We plan on addressing two important topics. Those topics are, in the event of a disaster, is my data safe and can I get to it reliably? Quick housekeeping item, please submit questions throughout the discussion. We'll have a Q&A at the end of the session. Today, Matt Marcy from Recovery Point Systems and Brian Holborn from Council Connect are going to provide industry insight and hopefully clear up some of the complexities and mysteries around connectivity and disaster recovery services. So thank you both for joining. A couple quick housekeeping items before we dive in. Please submit questions throughout this conversation, and we will address those at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. We have Matt Marcy, an account executive at Recovery Point. Matt, please give us an introduction and tell us a little bit about your experience.
Hey, thanks, Matt. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Looking forward to talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I've been in the industry now for well over 20 years, both in operations and finance and engineering and sales, specifically on networks, co-location, and now specifically disaster recovery and disaster recovery as a service. So looking forward to chatting with everybody and answering any questions folks might have.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation as well. Brian, same question to you.
Hey, everybody. My name is Brian. I've been working in the telecom industry, greater industry, for close to 25 years, primarily in a sales role. I'm happy to be here speaking with you guys today about some services that are relatively new to the portfolio of our organization, Console Connect. Very excited to discuss the sort of next gen technology features that we can provide from a connectivity standpoint. So thank you.
Great. Appreciate it. So let's kick this off. Matt, you mentioned that disaster recovery as a service is now your focus, and bringing all the experience you've had previously into that. Tell us a little bit about who Recovery Point is and what you're providing for clients today.
Sure. Thanks, Matt. So Recovery Point is one of the nation's leading disaster recovery and disaster recovery as a service firms. For the uninitiated and those who aren't familiar with disaster recovery, we're a company who essentially provides the compute and storage resources for companies that lose those resources in the event of a disaster, whether it's a ransomware attack, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's human error, whatever the case may be. As everybody here on the call knows, we all rely an awful lot on our technology infrastructure to do everything in our day-to-day lives. Well, imagine if the servers and storage that's powering your enterprise today were to go away for whatever reason. Companies that have a service like disaster recovery as a service can rely on a company like ours to bring up that technology infrastructure, sometimes at the push of a button, so that their customers, their clients, and their internal customers can actually have that service, and their servers and stores, their websites, their Outlook mail, everything else is still running as if nothing had ever happened. We've been doing this now for well over 20 years. We have a combined over 500 years of intellectual experience within the company. Everything that we do here at Recovery Point is done onshore in the U.S. We manage infrastructure, everything from large legacy mainframe arrays to mid-range power systems to disparate x86 Intel-based infrastructure. And what we do is we provide customized, uniform solutions that cover all of those infrastructures into an easy-to-use recovery solution customized to the specific environment of our clients. We've been a market leader by Gartner for well over 3 years. And in fact, since disaster recovery has been measured by Gartner. We are NIST 800-53 certified. And why that's important is because it covers a lot of the very, very important certification requirements that clients require. So what really, though, the big differentiator for Recovery Point is our reliability and strength, our ability to actually measure clients' drift management, and that's the changes in their environments, the effective planning, and the personal touch that we apply to every single environment that we manage, because it's our belief that no two environments are the same, and therefore no two solutions can be the same. So we customize everything to a client's specific needs and provide the ease of migration necessary to ensure that if you're going from a legacy DR solution to a new DR solution, that it's a seamless process.
Matt, great information. Thanks for sharing. Obviously, having the capabilities to manage almost any environment, right, in a purpose-built facility, keeping it safe, and then being able to rehydrate and bring that data back based on the company's needs is certainly important and a huge differentiator for us in the market. Brian, tell us about Console Connect and how you see your services benefiting customers that need a reliable DR provider.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, Matt Kramer. I do want to thank you guys first and foremost. I'm really happy to have Recovery Point, and we're very happy to have them as a strategic partner and a provider, really our premier provider of disaster recovery as a service on our connectivity platform, as well as a data center provider for us on the East Coast and for Console Connect and connectivity solutions. And that's what I want to talk with you guys about. Console Connect is really an outstanding network as a service platform. You're all familiar with sort of the trend toward rent versus buy in the industry. I mean, big examples, obviously, in cloud computing with AWS and Azure. And then we refer to as a service, X as a service partners, such as SaaS, UCaaS providers. You even see DDoS mitigation as a service, and SD-WAN providers, right, are offering sort of a rent versus buy situation. It's become sort of an outsourced world, really. So with Console Connect, you enjoy a one-stop shop for your connectivity requirements. There's a simple, straightforward interface. It's customized to your dashboard of ports and locations for connectivity, partners, and activities such as utilization and so forth on those ports. It offers the ability to provision connectivity services as bandwidth on demand. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So once you order a port, you're part of an ecosystem, and you can turn up service in minutes instead of weeks and months sometimes, like we do today. I think that's eventually going to become a legacy connectivity format. We're all moving to sort of the bandwidth on demand mentality, and the speed of business is highly important. So a look at the ecosystem in interface for Console Connect. It really kind of has a social media feel. I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in a minute. And it allows for connectivity solutions at your fingertips. For example, layer 3 point-to-point connections with business partners, or layer 2. You can spin them up on the go. You have internet on demand as a capability on any port, meaning, and then by the way, this is a distinguishing feature. It's not available to the majority or any other SDN or network as a service providers. Direct cloud connections is obvious. That's a big part of the solution in Console Connect today. And then, of course, you can always work closely to develop SaaS partnerships, whether they're customers or suppliers of yours, and that require that type of connectivity over the internet or private point-to-points. So just real quick, on a single port, securely delimited using VLANs with world-class SLAs. This is thanks to our underlying network. I want to show you quickly the underlying network. And this next slide demonstrates that we're a tier 1 carrier grade network. It's owned and operated by our parent PCCW. It's an industry leading, it's uncontended, top 10 IPT global network with connectivity at over 900 data centers globally and 180 countries around the world. So that's kind of our massive network footprint.
So just Brian, jumping in, North America is really where our focus is. And could you elaborate? I don't know if you have a next slide zooms in on it. Sorry if I'm stealing your thunder, but
no problem. That's okay. I do have a slide about that. So thanks for pointing it out. And this is kind of our focus today, right? We have really got a great North American partnership and presence across all the locations you see on this next slide. It's any point in the network, our partners have the reach and scale to any other location with private point-to-point connections, cloud connectivity, et cetera, or internet on demand. So as an example, Recovery Point, you have relationships with finance or healthcare organizations in Chicago or New York, let's say. And they connect directly to DRaaS servers in your main POP in Germantown. Well, they can do this on demand for any length of time, from a day, a month, years, if you wish, and spin it up immediately with ports anywhere in the U.S. and in North America, and then a connection to Recovery Point in Germantown.
So, Brian, just jumping in, we have a POP in Germantown and in our Gaithersburg facility. You guys can point, any customer then can go on your Console Connect website and seamlessly spin up, connections and bill those hourly, monthly, weekly, however they prefer, and access their data in our facility, correct?
Right, that's true. It's probably a good idea for me to kind of show you a snapshot of what the interface looks like. What you see here is a dashboard that is a demo account, but it's going to be tailored to each individual partner on the platform. What you can see across the top is the number of ports that you have and whether they're active or inactive, and the types of connections and internet on demand that you have. You can drill down on all of these things. Obviously, on the left-hand side, you have specifics on connections, whether it's a point-to-point of some type, a cloud connection, etc. You can also drill into this information and find things. It's really a picture of your assets on the whole network. So you can drill down and review your ports and locations, utilization on those ports. You can even pull up pricing. This is important. It has to be we look at the transparency of pricing for these connectivity solutions as a key element on the platform.
Hey, Brian, you talk about the cloud service providers, and I saw on the slide you had before the CSPs and being able to access Amazon and Azure. We have a lot of clients who do indeed need the point-to-point service, network service. They need the internet, but they also need access to several different cloud service providers as well. How does that fit in? Are clients having to get multiple ports? How exactly are they accessing the cloud service providers? Because it looks like you can provide that access too, which is obviously going to be a big benefit for our clients because they're not just taking point-to-point and multi-point circuits and internet. They need that cloud access too. Yeah,
I mean, it works very well with direct to cloud and even with hybrid cloud solution design. We have on-ramps for the major players, as well as a number of private clouds, including the likes of Oracle or Salesforce. And again, the main guys, Azure and AWS, it can be determined that, for the best latency solution, your connectivity may be in California. And so you want to have a connection between your partner, and they might want to just turn up a port in California to have the lowest latency direct to cloud connection there. So we try to make it really easy And like I said, it's really a large part of this, the sort of demand for this type of service.
Well, I got to say, going back to the global aspect, I know we at Recovery Point serve our all over North America. Our clients go the length and the breadth of the Western Hemisphere here, but we do have requirements for clients of ours who have a global presence. And I got to say, one of the first use cases we found for Console Connect was we had a client who was coming into the US. It was the very first time they were putting a presence here, but they had legacy operations in Germany, in Israel, and in Singapore. And they were trying to figure out, are we going to have to purchase all of this network? We don't know, frankly, how fast we're going to scale here in the US. And they found that the Console Connect port was a really good option for the very reason that they could start small, access all of these other sites globally, and they could gradually build up as needed or decrease their bandwidth requirements as needed. And I found that to be a really, really beneficial aspect to utilizing Console Connect. It's one of, I think, the greatest features you guys have.
No, that is a particularly good use case, if you will. I mean, I would love to use them as a proof of concept for other potential opportunities out there.
Sure.
It's a great example, and especially so because they have become a co-location customer of Recovery Point, and you were able to tie in their connectivity solutions with that proposal that you gave them. And certainly when it comes to their subscription services, which they intend to emulate here in the US and achieve the same success they've had overseas, and the data sharing that's going to need to happen between those key areas where they run their business is ideal for a product that overlays a global network. There are a bunch of other use cases. I mean, I'm happy to discuss those. And any questions that people may have, I've put a couple up here, and I've discussed a couple of them. Cloud connectivity is one. I think it's critical to point out the on-demand and the pay-as-you-go kind of system, where you only need connectivity for a short while, or you expect a huge ramp in your capacity for that time. That's easily configured, all with pricing very evident on the platform. We have many data centers. And one other thing I did want to point out is, and maybe there are questions about it, but we have this, we received help from the makers of LinkedIn to develop our site. So it's got a real social media feel. And we've created what we call a meeting place on the site. Once you're a member of Console Connect, you have access to that. And it's very simple to go and seek out new partnerships, whether they're suppliers or customer opportunities. So that's another element of the platform that overall makes it an ecosystem.
That's great, Brian. One thing that we're finding more and more, because it's a big, and I got to say, it's probably one of the biggest reasons we find new clients wanting to invest in disaster recovery where they never had before, was the onset and prevalence of ransomware. And one thing about ransomware is when it happens, it can take on it can take over and really lock folks out of their networks, and it's costing businesses so much money. And all they'd have to do is make a small investment in the network and in the DR portion of their business to ensure that, not frankly, it used to be if it happens. Now it's frankly going to be when it happens. Everybody is going to fall victim to it at some point. We like to say, you can build as high a wall as you'd like. If the bad actors want to get in, they're just going to build higher ladders. So, having a disaster recovery solution tied to an on-demand network solution like Console Connect is really beneficial, because frankly, when you need to replicate that data, when you need to get over to your backups. They're going to be there. They're going to be immutable, and it's really going to help out our clients be back up and running and in business, and instead of having to negotiate, how they're going to get out of the jam of being locked out of their network. So yeah, I can definitely see a real tie-in to what for us is one of the biggest challenges to our clients, and that's ransomware.
Yeah, that's a really good example. I should have brought up. I have worked with other, let's say, CDN type customers, and one of them had a pretty major attack, and so of course they were required to pay some amount in Bitcoin to get their data back, but their decision at the end of the whole debacle was to build their own anti-DDoS solution. So in the future, they would not ever have the problem of what happened with this sort of ransomware. But I believe that your solution is superior, and as long as there's this backup that's happening and it's consistent and the connectivity is always on, why not just be able to switch off the negative that's happening on your network and move over to the previous instance from 30 seconds or 2 minutes ago. So that's a great example. And, again, we have a lot of those that I'm happy to speak with anybody about. And I'm sure you are too, Matt.
Sure. Yeah. We don't tout ourselves as a managed security services provider. We are the line of last resort. When it comes to the NIST framework, we are the point at which problems have already occurred. What we are providing our clients with some degree of remediation, some degree by which they can be back up and in business while they try and figure out what happened and how are they going to fix it. While all of that is happening, while all those forensics are going on, their operations are still up and running thanks to the dedicated network that we're providing, the infrastructure, the compute, the storage that we're providing on site for them. So yeah, it's very important. And having a partner like you guys that can help enable those solutions is definitely something that's only going to help our clients even more.
Matt, on your previous slide, you had 1.85 million was the average cost of a ransomware attack. And our goal, right, and what we provide is a reliable way to stop the bleeding for organizations, right, that they absolutely have to have. And a lot of times, and their stories, obviously, just to stay in business, right, it's an absolute must. So appreciate you sharing all of that.
Yeah, and let me share a little anecdote. We hear more and more about these ransomware attacks, but it's actually the tip of the iceberg. It is happening far more than what is being reported, and it's for the very reason that companies don't want to advertise the fact that they've been locked out of their networks, that they've had to actually pay these ransoms in order to get back in. It's not something that equity shareholders want to hear. It's not something that the public wants to hear. It makes for very bad press. So a lot of times companies feel that they're compelled to make these payments just to make the problem go away. Well, if you have a disaster recovery solution in place that can get you back up and running, then really it's going to become a non-issue. So there is hope, and I can assure you that 1.8 million figure that you referenced is a lot higher than what it's going to cost you just to have a very basic disaster recovery solution in place.
That's a good thought. There are probably some conservative numbers. I didn't think about it that way. Probably a great deal of secrecy as to which companies or organizations have been attacked. But having a partner like Console Connect, the ability to spin up quickly, add the connectivity needed in the time of a disaster, and then to throttle it so that you're really paying for what you need when you need it. And like everything today, we expect it fast. So Yeah, really great presentation and conversation with both of you. Unless you guys have any other comments, is this a good time to pause and take some questions?
I just have one quick comment. That's that please feel free to reach out. We are doing a promotion through the end of the year for on-net locations in the United States, $100 a month for 1 or 10 gig ports monthly. So that might be a good impetus for you to dig into the services a little more. Signing up is very easy. You can just go to consoleconnect.com. It'll ask you to provide a little information about your company, and then you can quickly set up a profile and have a look at pricing and any other questions that you might have. There's a huge Q&A section or a how-to section there. So thanks for your time, and I look forward to any questions you have.
Great stuff. So we'll dive into questions. Let me see if I can find the what the. Are we there? I think
there you go, Matt.
We lost some connectivity there. We need Console Connect. So speaking of, where did he go? Well, hey, Matt, let's start with a question for you. I see a couple in the chat, but I had one. So, when you're gathering requirements and creating, a hosted resilient solution for clients, how are you and our engineering team deciding on what connectivity partner, would best suit their needs? Are you guys going straight to what they recommend, what they have in their data center? How are you evaluating that?
Yeah, good question. The network requirements for our DR clients it runs the gamut, anything from 10 megabit circuit to 10 megabit circuit all the way up to multi 10 gig dedicated point-to-point circuits and everything in between. You combine that with dedicated internet, you combine that with access to cloud service providers, and it really just depends on the client, because like I said from the start, we customize every DR solution to our client's specific technology environment. No two clients are the same, and therefore no two network requirements are going to be the same. We could use IPv6 on public internet. We could do dedicated point-to-point Ethernet circuits, and then we combine that with access to cloud service providers as well. So it really just depends on what the specific requirement needs for.
Perfect. Thanks. Brian, you're back. It's funny. Did you lose connectivity?
I did. Sorry about that. I'm not exactly sure what happened there.
Did you spin up a redundant port on the fly there? Utilizing,
I had to turn up dial up some capacity quickly on demand.
I'm glad you came back, because I'm looking at the questions here, and there's one from Joe Smith. You mentioned this previously, meeting place, and I saw that question pop up pretty early on. So maybe it was before you addressed it, but I do think you could expand on it. I've seen it briefly. Can you just give a high level of how you see clients utilizing meeting place, why you guys built that?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that's been in development for a long time. It continues to grow, and we learn from how customers communicate on the ecosystem. In other words, to search for potential, partnerships. They will go to our meeting place link on the site. I'm happy to give people more detail, probably in a different forum if you want to reach out. And it's a way to help develop business. And again, it does have kind of a social media purpose and a way to, once you're a member, which is very easy, to look at all the partnerships and data centers and locations, and really think about ways to make that service more valuable than just a connectivity solution.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks. And the next question, so we've seen this before. The next question has to do with SunGard, and we've actually, I know I've heard a lot of buzz in the industry around them. So, anytime there's an acquisition, a merger, there's questions around the service. Matt, I'll let you field this one. Obviously SunGard has been a leader in disaster recovery services for a long time. And now that they've been acquired, where does that leave customers that have existing contracts? Are you getting a lot of customers looking to get out of contracts? Maybe we just attack it from that angle.
Yeah. I mean, look, we have a lot of respect for all of our competitors. I mean, it's DR is an important part of the way companies operate their technology infrastructure today, and we've had quite a few over the past year come to us because they were a bit unsure about the long-term efficacy and capabilities of some of their existing providers. It's DR is not an easy thing either to build and just as easily migrate. And so for us, it's not simply a matter of developing the solution for our clients, but ensuring the seamless migration. Because at the end of the day, it's not just important to have that DR, but you want to make sure that putting the DR solution in place isn't going to affect your existing operations. And it's a really, really important part of our entire project plan, and we take that very seriously. So, and we welcome discussions. We have an entire dedicated project team that does this all day long, working with clients with legacy DR providers to ensure that the migration from them to a recovery point solution goes seamlessly.
That makes sense. Appreciate that, Matt. And you hit on it, right? It's all about outcomes for our customers, right? Yeah. We need to make sure that they get exactly what they need in the event of a disaster. So appreciate that. It looks like, Brian, you put your contact information in. Matt, if you have a second, can you throw your email in the chat as well? I know we had them up on that last slide, but if anybody on the webinar wants to reach out to Brian or Matt directly, please feel free. Their information's in the chat. And then it looks like there's one more question we'll hit on, unless there's any others that come in here in the last couple minutes. But it's a good question. It's around pricing. Like, what is the advantages of Console Connect's pricing versus dedicated network connections? Brian, that's to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned that Console Connect is a platform overlaying a global network, and that's powered by PCCW Global. We're a tier 1 network. We have a transit-free top 10 global IP AS3491 that you can look at yourself to understand the quality of the internet on demand. But as far as pricing goes, that means the history and the experience we have means that we know what we're doing. We are competitive on every edge of the globe. I mean, there really aren't, I can't think of any countries where we haven't provided solutions and pricing over the years. And so that means we're really savvy when it comes to the costs and the competitive landscape in those environments. And we've translated that to Console Connect. It's an ongoing process. We want to be flexible. And so customers come and we offer promos regularly. We often, get questions about the potential for, flexibility in connectivity pricing, and that's something we're willing to field. And I just, I think that's, if there are any questions in that pricing on the platform raises those questions, let's talk about it. But yes, we are a competitively priced connectivity solution on the ecosystem.
So, Brian, maybe I'm teeing you up here a little bit too, but one of the things from an outsider that's not in the connectivity industry, right, is it's all governed by contracts, but you guys actually have the ability to offer like a daily, or is it hourly? I mean, you can minimize the service, so it's not a commitment that you're stuck.
That's right. And that's right. All a part of that. Sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
But yeah, we do offer the transparency, like I said, of pricing, and it can be daily, hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, and even hourly if necessary. My understanding is that's a possibility. I haven't turned that solution into reality with any of my DRaaS possible leak yet, but
hourly is probably a little. Yeah. I think they'll be happy if they can get everything back up. They'll be happy to pay a daily charge. So yeah.
So that's true, and something that is a driver for business, similar to the sort of cloud system pricing, right?
Good stuff. So, well, I don't see any other questions. Matt, Brian, any parting wisdom before we close this out?
Parting wisdom. It's snowing pretty well here in Colorado. Keep your feet warm. There's my parting wisdom.
Sounds good.
Well,
I appreciate it.
I will just leave everybody with, it's never too late to protect your network. Disaster recovery is like insurance for your technology infrastructure. And, like anybody knows, you'd rather have the insurance before the tree falls on your house and you're trying to figure out whether or not your current insurance covers trees falling on your house. It's the same thing with technology infrastructure. It's best you have at the very least basic DR to ensure that if and when, and more likely when, disaster strikes, that you have something there to ensure your long-term sustainability.
I love it. Great stuff, guys. Really appreciate your time today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everybody, very much for joining. If you need anything at all, you have Matt and Brian's email in the chat. So one more second to grab those before we close it out. And that's all we have. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.